Hi everyone, this is William from the Headphone Experience, and this is the second in my series of the best of 2024 videos. My first one was headphone amps. This one is going to be about DACs, and I haven't finished putting together my notes for my best headphone of the year video. I usually do that first, but as I mentioned in the last video, I had two headphones come in the last week of 2024 and still haven't decided exactly where they fall in the lineup. So this is my best DACs of 2024, or my favorite DACs. Obviously, I haven't reviewed or heard them all, so this is my favorites out of what I've actually heard. I'm also including some DAC amp combinations, and my feelings about DAC amp combinations is it used to be a few years back where you either had a very good amp with an adequate DAC added to it, or you had a very good DAC with an adequate amp added to it. But lately, starting to see more that are balanced out where you get a DAC and amp of equal quality, and there's some really good DAC amps coming out. So I did include a few in this list if the DAC part of the DAC amp combo competed with standalone DACs in the same price category. So if you could get a DAC and amp at a price competitive with just a DAC alone, then that's just a bonus getting that amp added in. So I did include a few in this, but I'm going to do a separate video that will be DAC amp combos and DAC amp stacks. So, but this one is primarily DACs, but like I said, a few DAC amp combos added in if they're competitive in price. So I'm going to start at under $100. And I'll be honest, I have not reviewed any DAC only units under $100. I have reviewed a few combinations, so that's going to be my pick at this category. So for under $100, I'm going to pick the iFi Audio Zen Air DAC, which is a pretty nice DAC and a pretty nice amp, both built into one unit for $99. And then I'm going to give an honorable mention to the iFi Audio Uno that goes for only $79. It has a comparable sound to the Zen Air DAC, but it is smaller, more compact, and at $79, the sound is incredible. If you're using your headphones like plugged into a headphone jack on a tablet or a laptop computer or even a desktop computer, you're going to get a huge improvement in sound by running a USB cable to either one of these. And like I said, you've got an amp and DAC both built into one unit. I did want to mention that the Zen Air DAC is basically the Zen DAC, just a budget model, mostly made of plastic instead of metal, but a very similar sound, and it is only single-ended. It does not have a balanced output. So, but anyway, a deal at $99. Jumping up to $101 to $250, I'm going to give this one to the Topping E50. At $199, it is an exceptional DAC in my opinion. Absolutely crystal clear, very clean, detailed sound. I would say it's roughly neutral in tone balance. Unlike some of the earlier or older Topping DACs that were a little on the cool side of neutral, this one's pretty neutral, but outstanding detail and clarity. And it is balanced, and at $199, it's my favorite in this category. I want to give an honorable mention to the Topping E30. I think it's the E32 or version 2 that currently sells for $149. The one I actually reviewed was the original version 1, but I'm assuming if anything it's better. The newer one is better. And then I also want to give an honorable mention to a combination amp DAC that I think is competitive in this price category. That's the FIO K7 and that sells at $199. You're getting not only a very good DAC with very clean sound, but a very decent headphone amp with about, I think, 2 watts per channel that'll power most headphones. And the amp and DAC are very clean and detailed, and a bargain at $199 in my opinion. Jumping to $251 to $500, I'm going to give this one to the iFi Audio Zen 1 Signature, and the one I reviewed was the Hi-Fi Man version with an EQ button that basically was designed to complement Hi-Fi Man headphones. That sells for $349, an exceptionally clean, detailed, balanced DAC. And then I want to give an honorable mention to a amp DAC combo. That's the Hi-Fi Man EF400, and that sells for $399. And it has a very good R2R DAC in it and a very good amp thrown in, all for the price of $399. Jumping to, I did want to mention though, the only fault I find in the EF400 is it does have only one input. That's a digital USB input. There are no other digital inputs like coax or optical, and it does not have any analog inputs. But it is balanced and has I think 4 different headphone outputs on it, including 3-pin or 4-pin XLR. Okay, jumping to $501 to $750, I'm going to give this one to the Topping D70 Pro. That sells for $699. Exceptional clarity and detail. A ton of features, including a screen on the front, about 2 inches or so, but it has shows the spectrum of the frequencies broken down into like 30 frequencies, all bouncing. You can switch over to UV meters. It is a digital replication of a UV meter, or just where it shows all your inputs and outputs and all your information on it, but an exceptionally clean, detailed DAC. Once again, I would say neutral in tone balance, a little warmer than some of the older Topping DACs, and it's $699, just a really, really good DAC. And then in that same price category, I want to give an honorable mention to a combination amp DAC, which is a Hi-Fi Man EF600, which gives you a very nice R2R DAC. In fact, that one has the Himalaya Pro 2 R2R DAC, which is a little bit smoother than the R2R DAC in the EF400, but not quite as, doesn't have quite as much bite to it. I think the one in the original Himalaya is a little more punchy, but the Himalaya Pro seems to be a little bit smoother. So anyway, that sells at $649. So you're getting both a very good DAC and a very nice amp all in one for a great price, in my opinion. Jumping to $751 to $1,000. I'm going to give the win this time to a combination amp DAC, and that is the iFi Audio Neo IDSD2. And I just got done doing my full review on that. It sells for $899, and not only is it a fantastic DAC in my opinion, but it also has a really nice headphone amp in it. The headphone amp puts out 5 watts per channel into 32 ohms and does a very good job of driving even the Susvara or the HE6, along with a great DAC. And I think the DAC in the Neo IDSD2 is very close in clarity and detail to the Topping D70 Pro or even the D90 SE, but a little bit warmer than either of those, and just very enjoyable. And I love that. So I'd like that so much, the Neo IDSD2, that I'm going to give it my, the top honors in the 751 to 1,000 category. I'm going to give honorable mentions to the Topping D90 SE, an exceptionally clean, detailed DAC up there with the best of DACs at any price as far as clarity and detail. I would say neutral, but it can sound a little bit dry, a little bit sterile at times. That sells for $899. Also, another amp DAC combo that I think is competitive in this category with the other DACs, and that's the FIO K9 Pro EES version. That sells for $899 and has an outstanding DAC in it. I don't have that anymore. That had to go back. It was on loan. But when I did have it, I compared that to the Topping D70 SMQA version, which is one of my, probably my favorite Topping DAC of all times. And it had a very similar sound, the DAC in it, and you get a very decent headphone amp built in for the price of $899. The amp, I think, is about 2 watts per channel into 32 ohms, so it's going to power most headphones, but come up a little short for something like the Sesfara. Then I also want to give an honorable mention in the $751 to $1,000 category. That's the Hi-Fi Man Serenade, which is also an amp DAC combo, but it has an excellent DAC in it, and it is like the EF600. It's the Himalaya Pro from Hi-Fi Man, and that sells for $999. And I actually like the Serenade quite a bit better than even the EF600. It's just a nicer unit, very well built. It was made by Golden Wave for Hi-Fi Man. All aluminum chassis, not a whole lot of features, but just a very nice, high quality DAC and amp combo for $999, and it has the warmest tone balance of any of these that I've mentioned. It's warmer than even the FIO, warmer than the iFi. It does have a very nice, warm, but yet detailed sound to it. So really like that. I'm jumping up to the over 1,000 category, and I'm giving the win in that category to the iFi Audio Pro IDSD2, the iFi Pro IDSD Signature, which I reviewed about a year ago, and that does go for $3,250. It is quite expensive, but in my opinion, it is the cleanest, most detailed DAC I have ever heard. It is a Delta Sigma DAC, and it does have a pretty decent headphone amp built into it. I think has about 2 watts per channel, and will do a very good job with most planar magnetics. I love that amp DAC combination with the Hi-Fi Man HE1000 SE. I thought they had superb synergy and just sounded so good together. Like I said, kind of expensive, but it had several choices of digital roll-off filters that I could actually hear the difference, and just had incredible depth for a Delta Sigma DAC, and a huge wide soundstage, and perfect clarity, and just the most detailed, cleanest DAC I've ever heard. And part of the combination that has made the Hi-Fi Man Sesfara sound the best that I've heard it so far. The best I've ever heard the Sesfara up to this point has been using the iFi Pro IDSD Signature DAC as a standalone DAC running into the Hi-Fi Man Prelude headphone amp, also made by Golden Wave, and that combination powering the Sesfara is the best I've heard the Sesfara sound so far. Okay, I also want to give a very honorable mention in this category to the Denafrips Pontus. The version I reviewed was the Pontus 2. The current version, the 15th, is currently sells for $2,019, but just an incredible DAC. It's an R2R DAC. Incredible detail and a huge soundstage with excellent depth and layering, and probably my second favorite DAC that I've reviewed up to this point. I put it above another DAC I give an honorable mention to. That's the Audio GD R8 MK2. I put the Pontus slightly above it in my ratings because even though they have a very similar sound, the Pontus 2 just had, and it was easier to use. It had, I think, 8 buttons to control its functions, where the Audio GD, which is actually sitting up here, right here, has 3 buttons, and the Audio GD is kind of confusing. Every time I want to make adjustments, I have to look up the instructions on it, how to do it. It's just kind of confusing trying to go through all the controls with only 3 buttons, but fantastic sound from the Audio GD R8. This is the MK2 version you see above me. The MK3 version is currently available through Underwood from the United States for $1,999 US, or you can get it for a slightly lower price directly from Audio GD in China, but you're going to pay a large amount to get it shipped here, and you're going to wait a little longer. So from Audio GD directly, you can get, the current price is $1,850 American dollars, but you're probably looking at $150 to $200 shipping, because the thing weighs something like 28 pounds and comes in a huge box with like 3 inches of foam padding. So, I mean, the unit, the Audio GD, is 17 inches wide, 17.5 inches deep, about 3.5 inches tall, and weighs, I think, 26 or 28 pounds. So very large package. You're going to pay to get that shipped. So you can save a little ordering it from China, but with shipping, you're probably going to be lucky if you break even. So I would just, if I wanted that, I personally would order it from Underwood. So that's the list of my price categories. I'm going to jump now to my awards for this year, and I'm going to start with my most bang for the buck awards, which means, you know, the most performance for the dollar. So I broke that into 2 categories, under $1,000 and over $1,000. So under $1,000, I'm giving my most bang to the buck to the Topping E50. Little balanced Delta Sigma DAC, incredible clarity and detail, $199. I don't know of anywhere you're going to get a comparable DAC for any less than that. You're probably going to pay a lot more. And then the over 1,000 category, most bang for the buck, the Denafrips Pontus, and once again, I reviewed the Pontus 2. That's not available anymore. Now it's the Pontus 15th. I can't tell you exactly what the difference is, but that sells for $2,019. Not cheap, but it is an incredible DAC in my opinion. Okay, best DAC under $1,000. I'm going to give that to the iFi Audio Neo IDSD2. And that sells for $899, and you get a really good headphone amp that will do a very good job of powering the Susvara, thrown in at that price of $899. And then best DAC over $1,000, I'm going to give that to the iFi Audio Pro IDSD Signature at $3,250. This is something I'm a little concerned about. I was looking at iFi's website, and just a few days ago, maybe a week ago, their website completely changed, and I couldn't find the Pro units on there, the Pro ISD Signature or the regular one, in either their DAC or amp. I hope they didn't discontinue those. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right place, or maybe they missed that when they updated their website, but I'm really hoping that the Pro IDSD and the Pro ISD signature are still available because, like I said, it's really, in my opinion, the best DAC that I've heard to this point. Okay, my award for Best Delta Sigma DAC, which uses a Delta Sigma chip, is the i5 Pro IDSD signature, once again at $3,250. And my award for the best R2R resistor ladder DAC is going to the Denafrips Pontus, and the current version, the 15th, sells for $2,019. And now, very last, this is my DAC of the year. And this wasn't an easy decision. I would normally pick something a little more high price, and I'm not saying this is the best DAC, but I'm just saying I gave this DAC of the year because it's just so high of quality for the amount of money it cost. And I gave this to the Topping E50. It sells for $199. And in my opinion, this little $199 DAC has the performance of a DAC that would have cost you $1,000 probably 5 years ago, and probably $2,000 10 years ago. So this thing, just outstanding performance for $199. It's simple and easy to use. It's small, fits on your desktop, and it even has a full size 4-pin XLR headphone out. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the amp. Does not have, it's only a DAC, so it does not have a headphone output, but it does have a balanced output to go to your headphone amp. Although you will need a 4.4 millimeter Pentacon to 4.4 millimeter Pentacon balanced cable to connect the DAC to its matching amp. But then the amp does have a 4-pin full-size XLR output out of a very small amp. So anyway, DAC of the year, Topping E50, just because it's so much performance at such a low price. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to try to get to my best headphones of the year video very quickly. I still have a couple of decisions to make before I do that. So anyway, if this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, please do. And once again, and please join us at the Headphone Experience on Facebook. It's up to 35.5 thousand members, maybe 0.6 by now. I haven't looked at it today. And once again, this is William, and thanks for watching my video.